Your time and expertise are valuable, making focus one of the most important resources to have at work. These days, professionals spend nearly half the work week on written communication, and it can be difficult to stay on task with all the emails and documents you have to get through. With Grammarly as your AI writing partner, you can stay focused and quickly get through your work with relevant real-time suggestions wherever you write. It works across 500,000 apps and websites, so it can help with everything, from brainstorming presentation ideas to sounding more confident and persuasive in emails and reports. For 15 years, Grammarly has offered best-in-class communication support and enterprise-grade security on a business model that doesn't sell your data. 93% of professionals report that Grammarly helps them get more work done. Download Grammarly for free at grammarly.com/podcast. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
KFI AM 640. You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly. On demand on the iHeartRadio app.
Chris Merrill, KFI AM 640, in for Mo Kelly. Listen anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app, and then back again on Sunday afternoon. In fact, Matt is in tonight for Tawala. I think, Matt, you and I are together on Sunday too, right? So that'll be a good time. Good time. See?
Yeah,
he's coming together nicely.
He's doing his job, so he can't be on
hopefully
the mic.
He's prepping for Sunday, because this bad boy is just on autopilot at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
No, Matt, great producer, and I always love working with Matt. Very good, yeah. Round of applause. Very
Absolutely.
good. Love that. Very good.
Matt.
KFIAM640.com/missing is where we have posted a number of photographs of people that have been reported missing by the LA County Sheriff's Department from both the Palisades and the Eaton fire areas. And as we are made aware of more names or photos, we will add those as well to KFIAM640.com/missing. And it hit me kind of hard when I opened the page and I saw the state IDs of the people that are labeled as missing, because many of them are also labeled as having disabilities, dementia, maybe they're bedridden, and you just go, oh man, I sure hope that there is a miracle happy ending to many of these stories. I'm praying to all things that'll listen that we have a happy ending. Sunday, we've got the TikTok ban coming up on Sunday. Sunday's a busy day. We got Gavin Newsom is going to be doing a town hall on all the iHeart stations, including KFI, Sunday morning at 9. That's all the iHeart stations in California. So from the Oregon to Mexican border, from the sea to shining Nevada, we'll have all the iHeart stations be carrying that, so you have an idea of what we're doing going forward. That's going on Sunday. Also Sunday, TikTok says that they're going to be banned. You heard Mark talking about that in his newscast. They say they're going to go dark unless Biden tells them not to, I guess. A little weird. But anyway, that's the plan on Sunday. Monday, Biden is done at noon. He gets a half day. Trump takes over at noon. Inauguration is scheduled, I believe, for the 20th this year, right? Yeah. We're going to do it on the 20th this time around? Oh, very good. Very good. It's always on the 20th.
Busy day.
I mean, it's kind of like when my wife says, what day is St. Patrick's Day on this year? And I go, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the 17th of March. She goes, oh, is it? Yep, pretty sure. She still doesn't know St. Patrick's Day is always on the same day. She has no idea. She thinks it's like Easter, where it just fluctuates. It's not.
Nope.
So the inauguration is going to go indoors now. It will not be outside because of the predicted cold weather forecast, a high of 23. In perspective, I believe, in historical context, I believe the last time, in fact, I think it was maybe the only other time that it's been held indoors was Reagan in 85. And that is because the temperature that day got up to, in D.C., got up to 7. That was their high that day, got up to 7. Air temperatures on Monday are expected to hit the low to mid-20s. Wind chills could register between 12 degrees and 14 degrees. There have been inaugurations in actual colder weather, including back when we used to do the inauguration in March. That was before that changed. That's why it's still so confusing. You know, a lot of people don't remember. You know, are we doing the inauguration in January of this year, or are we still doing it in March? I think we're doing it in January, like we have ever since 1937, but that's fine. The coldest, I believe, was something like 19 degrees, 18 degrees, something like that. That was in March in 1871. Just off the top of my head, certainly not because I'm looking at a story in front of me. Just right there. Normally, the temperature is somewhere between the mid-20s and all the way up into the 50s. But this time around, we're looking at a high maybe of 23 with the wind chill. It will be the coldest in a while. And that will probably work against anybody trying to stop global warming. They're going to say, global warming isn't doing a good enough job. We need executive order. Aerosol cans outside for everyone. Every morning, 5 minutes of spraying aerosol. We got to warm up the next inauguration.
It's the best aerosol.
Best
it's
aerosol.
The best one.
Probably the coldest anyone's ever seen. It's going to be very cold. We had to move it inside. The coldest anyone has ever experienced in Washington, D.C. It's like no one's ever seen anything like this. They can't believe they're like, what is going on here? What? We've never seen anything this crazy. But we did it. We did it inside.
We did it. We're the best.
We're
the best.
We did it inside the rotunda. We had to push Carter's dead body out of the way, but we did it just the same. We weakened at Bernie's, Jimmy Carter. It's been moved aside. It does.
Bernie's.
Yeah, that's nice.
Good call.
Yeah, at some point, I go too far, and then Mark has to step in and tell me to back off.
No, you cut loose. It's Friday.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
You're just trying to cover up all the nonsense you had yesterday.
Oh, yeah,
right?
It is Friday.
Yeah.
I thought it was like Tuesday.
Oh, no. That's just how bad it's been all week.
Oh,
right?
geez.
It's the week that never ends.
Yeah.
Monday is supposed to be Executive Order Palooza. And I have talked to a number of my left. Oh, by the way, real quick, back to the inauguration thing, and then I'll get to the executive orders. I saw the funniest meme on this, on the inauguration being moved inside. This is why there are times that the internet is an absolute cesspool of nonsense, but there are times that you go, this is why the internet was created. It was a screenshot of the announcement that said the inauguration being moved inside due to cold weather and for safety concerns. And the response was, and you guys want to take over Canada and Greenland? Nah. No, we're not going to be able to handle that. I thought that was really funny. So on Monday, that's when all the executive orders are supposed to drop. And I think there's probably a stack of these ready to go. He gets sworn in, does his speech, probably goes in, sits at a desk, and then immediately just starts signing things. Now, what is interesting is the dance that's done during the inauguration. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen the whole behind the scenes of what happens between the president when the president leaves and then the new president comes in. It's like a NASCAR pit stop for the entire White House. They go through there, and it's like, there goes President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden leaving the White House for the final time. They get out. Yes, that's what happens. They get out. They hit the beast. That's the name of the Cadillac that they ride to the Capitol. And then it's like this army of people, not literally the army, but an army of people go into the White House and immediately start taking everything that is the Bidens out of there. Pull it all out. Throw the stuff that's theirs into a moving truck, take all the classified documents, hide that in a bathroom somewhere, and then they bring all of Trump's stuff in there. So by the time he gets done saying, I promise to faithfully uphold the Constitution, by the time he's done with that and he gets to the White House and he gets out of the beast, he walks in and it's, boom, what he wanted. I mean, it is crazy what they do. So that means that he's going to be able to walk into the White House. There's probably not going to be an orientation because he's been there before. It'll be like coming, back home from college.
Yeah.
And then he's going to go inside, sit down at the Resolute desk, and probably start signing 100 of these executive orders right away.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are freaking out about this because they think the executive orders are going to get signed, and immediately that's when the gazpacho police go out and start arresting everyone who's brown. That'll be it. Anyone that has a funny-sounding name, that's it. Get ready. You're turned into cold soup. Boom. And then deported. Build a wall, deport them all starts at 12:01 on Monday. I don't think that's going to be the case. George Will was talking with News Nation, and he was talking about the executive order palooza as well.
Well, day one on the first 100 days is going to be just exactly like the last days of the Biden administration. Mr. Biden, like so many modern presidents, rather relishes governing through executive orders. It means you avoid the nuisance of actually having to persuade the people's representatives in Congress to get your things done. So there's this flurry of executive orders, but, Leland, things achieved by executive order are written on water because they can be undone often by just another executive order.
Yeah, so anything that Biden's been doing for the last few days, with the exception of the commutations of the prisoners, and Mark had that story as well, Trump's not going to come in and say, rearrest them, so that's not going to happen. But a lot of the other stuff could be EPA, could be, I don't know, the priorities of enforcement of certain divisions, all that stuff. He could just, boop, that'll all be done. And don't think that his team doesn't know what Biden is doing and already picking and choosing which ones they're going to undo ASAP. It'll happen. I do not think that we are going to see this huge overhaul of the government on day one. They may start working on overhauling the executive branch and priorities and all that kind of stuff. But as far as you and I go, I don't think we're going to notice much of a difference come 6 o'clock on Monday night. I just don't believe that to be the case. I could be wrong. I mean, for Pete's sake, Reagan was inaugurated a few hours later. By the time you had dinner on Reagan's inauguration, the first time around, Iran hostages were freed. So I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but I just don't think it's going to be this massive change. Speaking of massive change, there is going to be a massive change in your world. It's going to be huge because your Fruit Loops are about to get a lot less fun.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
I love food. Food, glorious food. Unfortunately, my Fruit Loops just got a little less fun because the FDA is banning red dye number 3. That's the artificial coloring used in beverages, candy, and in other foods.
No, God, please, no.
Yeah, why? I had no idea that this was that red dye number 3 was so dangerous until there were some protests like 6 weeks ago, and I thought, okay, you're raising awareness. This will take another 10 years before anything happens. Nope, it's done. And basically because RFK was trying to sound the alarm on it. News Nation went to an authority on carcinogens. They went to an absolute authority to find out how the red dye number 3 is affecting our bodies. No, they didn't. They went to celebrity trainer Jillian Michaels to see what she thought.
First of all, this has been banned in cosmetics for over 30 years because there are numerous studies that link it to cancer. So we should be outraged by the fact that it took this long. And this only happened because of the spotlight that Robert F. Kennedy has put on activists like Callie Means, Bonnie Hari, Jason Karp, that pointed out these foods, which I don't love anyway, but nevertheless, these ultra-processed foods are made without these chemicals in other countries. They don't add flavor at all. They're simply more colorful, which is attractive to children. So it's how they effectively addict our kids by making them brighter.
No, you know how they addict our kids? They make them magically delicious. That's what happens.
It's marketing.
It's totally marketing. Now, I'm not really crazy about, come on, kids. You want to be cool like all the other kids in class. Why don't you eat our all-new asbestosos? I'm not crazy about that. If it is a carcinogen, then let's just not put it in food. Right? If we already know it's bad for you and we say you shouldn't put this on your skin, you probably should not put it in your stomach either. I'm just going to guess that that's not a great thing. So, yeah, I'm fine. I'm all behind it, right? That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with that. Yeah,
you're fine with that.
Just the the way you presented it was like, we're going to the experts. No, we're going to Jillian Michaels.
Jillian Michaels.
Yeah, because I'm sure when she was 7 years old, she was like, "Hey, Mom, does this have red dye?
Right.
3?" No, she just poured it down her throat.
And it was delicious.
It was so good.
So good.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I agree. It's totally about marketing.
Yep.
We love colors.
Yeah.
We love colors. So, yeah, it's marketing. Okay, fine, ban it. I don't have a problem with that. Just don't ban the green M&Ms. Can we all agree that we're going to rally behind and draw a line in the sand? Do not ban green M&Ms. I sneak those to my wife when I'm feeling frisky and I want to put her in the mood because those green M&Ms are legal roofies. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, they get me into a space. I'm not going to lie. They're good. They're good.
That's right. Anything that looks like the devil's lettuce puts you into a space is what happens. That's right. Very good.
And subsequently more enticing. And there are 10,000 of these chemicals in our food that fall under what's called the GRAS rule, which is called the generally recognized as safe rule. And that means that the relationship between the FDA and Big Food allows Big Food to...
I love that she's calling it big food, but I am actually learning something from Jillian Michaels because I did not know about GRAS foods, that generally recognized as safe foods. So, all right, credit to News Nation. They got something worthy out of this. But
did they
I
get
love
a ding?
What's that?
Did they get a ding?
Yeah, give them a ding. Yeah.
All right.
Ding.
Ding.
Yeah, very good. Sound effect budget really fell off when Mo left. So here's what I think is interesting. She calls it big food. Okay. All right. I'm kind of behind that.
And Big Food allows Big Food to vouch for these chemicals on their own. So they can say, yeah, we did the research and they're generally recognized as safe. However...
Okay, but now you're going to what? Regulate them? Not in my America.
Most countries in the developed world...
Most countries are socialists.
...don't find 9,500 or so of these chemicals safe at all, which is why they are banned.
This is where RFK is going to run into an uphill battle. Because what is the thing that during this campaign we kept hearing how Trump was going to come in and he was going to make America great again by getting rid of all the onerous regulation, and businesses needed to get behind him because he's going to get rid of regulation and red tape. Well, what if that red tape is made out of red dye number 3? And if you remove it, you're going to get cancer. Well, yeah, but there's money to be made, right? So this is where you're going to run into RFK that sees topics like this and goes, why are we still doing this? Why are we still allowing red dye number 3 into the foods? That's ridiculous. Now, granted, this all happens under the Biden administration, but RFK is the one that brought this to the limelight, according to expert Jillian Michaels, celebrity trainer. What he's going to run into, though, is he's going to say, we need to end trans fats. We need to stop putting these other addictive chemicals in our McDonald's French fries. And he's going to run into the machine that is Speaker Johnson, Donald Trump, Vance, and they're all going to go, what are you trying to destroy American business? We worry about the bottom line before we worry about health. Freedom of choice. That's what they're going to run into. And they're going to go, you are a liberal trying to run our lives. Let us make the decisions. I am going to predict, here's my bold prediction. I'm going to predict RFK Jr. is the first cabinet member out. What do you think, Ronner?
You're not drawing me into that. Nice try. I appreciate it.
It's either that or Pam Biondi, because she's supposed to be AG, right? And she just got through her hearings. I mean, if Heggs gets through, he's going to hang on to that gig because he's never going to have a better gig than that. Biondi could cross Trump. He could want her to do something, and she goes, yeah, that's just, like, that's not, I can't even come up with a spin that might make that request legal.
Well, I think based on her testimony, that scenario is highly unlikely.
I know, but even who was the first AG the last time? The guy from Alabama.
Jeff Sessions?
Sessions, yeah. I mean, even he found a line that he wouldn't cross.
Yeah, that's why he was gone pretty quick, too.
Yeah, he lasted like, what, a year and a half? I think RFK is gone before Labor Day.
Well, he seems to have some pretty problematic views about vaccines at a time when it looks like bird flu is about to spread.
Yeah, but I don't think Trump cares about that. I think he'll care about running into regulation issues. That's where I think he's gonna cross the president. That's what my guess is. All right, the country is about to go through a major change, historical, the sort of thing that will be looked on for generations and wonder, how did we ever get it so wrong? I'm speaking, of course, of the ban on TikTok, maybe the most important issue of our times. We'll talk with the lawyers and tell you what you need to do to make sure you can keep talking away next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
The big news from the legal world today is that no longer will you be able to get your news from TikTok. Man, I'm good. So what happens? TikTok, it sounds like the Supreme Court says, yeah, we can go through with the ban.
Breaking news just into our newsroom. The Supreme Court has ruled to uphold the ban on TikTok. The justices rule that the law does not violate the First Amendment. The federal ban is set to take effect on Sunday, just before President Biden leaves office. Biden had said he will not enforce the ban, leaving that decision for President-elect Trump, whose inauguration is on Monday. As influencers rush to download alternative platforms, Red Note's popularity is exploding. But U.S. security officials warn the Chinese app could pose an even greater risk to security.
It's literally the Red Note, like communist red. Yeah, that's outstanding. What's going to happen? This is what we all are wondering. What's going to happen? You heard Mark with the news saying that TikTok claims that they are going to go dark unless Joe Biden gives them assurances. I don't know how he can do that when by the time they go dark, he'll have less than 36 hours remaining in office. Legal expert and national political columnist Barry Markson joins me right now. And Barry, thanks so much for taking time this evening. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you holding off on that first drink on your Friday evening, or at least your third drink on your Friday evening. What plays out here, Barry, when it comes to TikTok? They're claiming they're going to go dark. I mean, they would lose a lot of money for going dark, even for just a day or two, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they really would. Initially I thought this was kind of them playing their hand and trying to leverage that against the United States government and enforcement. But I think what they're concerned about is the service providers that bring them to us. There's all sorts of companies behind the scenes that we don't really know about that control the internet and bring this stuff to us. And I think those companies are saying, hey, it's now illegal, at least on January 19th, it'll be illegal for us to bring TikTok out there, and we don't want to get in trouble with the law. So they're saying that the Biden administration and the Justice Department need to say something definitively that it's not illegal, or they're not going to enforce it somehow in writing, so that these service providers don't shut them down.
So who are the service? Like, are we talking like Verizon and AT&T and Cox and Time Warner and Spectrum and that kind of thing? Who are the service providers?
I don't know. They just said service providers. I know there's behind the scenes internet companies that really bring these, the companies that we know, the Facebooks and the Twitters and everything else that come to us on our phones. It's those companies you mentioned, Chris, and others that we probably don't know the name of, but they're the ones that control it. And I think they're concerned about enforcement against them. It will be illegal. TikTok will be illegal on January 19th. So I get that, but the Biden administration said they're not going to enforce the law. Trump has certainly indicated he's not going to enforce it initially. He wants to try to negotiate a better deal. I didn't think that this was going to really be an issue, at least not immediately, but TikTok is making it sound like it will be. So I'd be shocked to see them go dark. It's certainly going to be very expensive for an awful lot of people who make their living on TikTok these days.
Barry Markson is a legal expert and a national political columnist, an attorney. Barry, why didn't ByteDance just divest TikTok and just move on with it? I mean, they could have raked in literally billions. There's still an offer on the table. Kevin O'Leary, the guy from Shark Tank, says he'd give him $20 billion right now. Why don't they just take $20 billion and be done with this headache?
Well, yeah, you have to remember TikTok, Chris, it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. And I don't know how that would work. So they're going to sell off this piece of it, but maintain everything else. Does that limit the amount of content that gets to TikTok? Is you separate it and cut it out entirely? It seems like there'd be a way to divest the portion of the company that has the ability to download that data and keep that from the Chinese owners. There'd be a way to do that, but I don't think TikTok folks, the ByteDance people, thought this was going to happen. I think they thought this would stop. The Supreme Court would stop it on First Amendment grounds, and now they're faced with this imminent enforcement of the law going into effect here in just a couple of days. So that's my guess. It may eventually end up getting sold off, or at least get enough investors from the United States in that can control that part of it, so the Chinese don't control that portion of the company. But as it stands right now, they haven't done anything, not even enough to allow President Trump to institute part of the law, which allows him to say the company is working towards a sale, and therefore I can delay enforcement of the law for 90 days. That's in this law, but TikTok hasn't done anything to even take a step towards that.
The reality is that the Republican Party is Trump's party right now. I don't think anybody would argue with me on that, whether it's a Democrat or a Republican. I think they would all acknowledge this is his party. With control of the House, the Senate, and the White House soon to be in the Republicans' hands, meaning Trump's hands, what are the odds that Congress gets back together and completely revamps their own law in some sort of an emergency manner in order to remedy this problem right now?
It's an interesting question, because if you go back just 3 or 4 years ago, President-elect Trump was the one saying we need to ban TikTok. He was leading that call and yelling that the Democrats were blocking that. Now he's changed his tune, but an awful lot of Republicans, this law that bans TikTok was championed. It was written by Republicans. It was passed by Republicans. I mean, the Democrats did too. It was overwhelmingly passed by both parties. But you would have to have a lot of Republicans reverse themselves. And Chris, that vote was just 6 months ago. It wasn't like this was some years ago. They just did this. They just talked about the national security concerns and why they were willing to overcome the First Amendment obstacles because they were so concerned about the safety of the United States and the data that was being given to our Chinese friends. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of Republicans who voted in favor of this law that would now reverse themselves if Trump asked them to. But I think there's some that would say, no, this really is a security issue and we're not going to change it. So I think what's more likely is that Trump takes office on the 20th and he gives whatever assurance TikTok and these service providers need that he's not going to enforce it, that he's going to legally provide a delay, whether he says TikTok is trying to sell itself, or he'll give an order to the Justice Department not to enforce it. And I think TikTok stays live. That's my guess. What happens from there, I don't know. Whether they change the law or Trump finds another way around it, I don't know. But they're working pretty hard, I think, to try to keep TikTok in action.
Barry Markson is an attorney, a legal expert, and also a national political columnist joining me right now as we talk about the TikTok ban, which the Supreme Court said is constitutional. It can go through. You talked about national security concerns. Some people are scrambling to find an alternative. For some, they were already sort of migrating their content over to the other popular platforms, whether that's Instagram or Snapchat or whatever else. For others, they're kind of left flat-footed, and they're going, I better do something. You heard in the story that ABC7 had, many are going to this app called Red Note, which is also run by a Chinese company. Another alternative is called Lemon 8. Sounds like lemonade if you say it quickly. Lemon 8. Lemon 8 is also owned by ByteDance. So TikTok obviously is the one that caught the attention because of its popularity. Is it safe to say that if people largely go to these other Chinese apps, it doesn't even have to be social media. If they go to these other Chinese-owned apps, are the other apps also likely to be targets of Congress in the future, or is that a political nightmare for them?
Well, I would have said yes, that the Congress would act quickly to ban the same these new companies that are also owned by the Chinese. But again, it depends on what Trump wants to do. I mean, he loves TikTok now. Part of it, I think, is some of his big donors are owners of TikTok, and they came to him and said, hey, you should take another look at this. Part of it is that Trump really used TikTok in this campaign. He got a lot of young people to vote for him. I think he credits some of that to TikTok, and he doesn't want to lose that influence with the young voters. So whether or not he's going to take those kind of steps, I don't know. But it's obviously dangerous. I don't know why folks wouldn't just go to some of the other existing social media companies that are United States based. I mean, Chris, let's face it, they track the same data, but the data doesn't go to the Chinese government. That seems to be the biggest concern here. So I think there's options, but whether or not any of those companies are going to get the gravitas, they're going to get the size that TikTok has, that doesn't happen overnight. And we've seen this. People are trying to leave Twitter and they're going to these other Blue Sky and other ones, but they're not picking up the same number of people. Yeah. And I don't know that any of these other companies will either.
And not anywhere close. All right, Barry. Barry Markson, legal expert, national political columnist. I consider him a friend as well. And thanks, Barry. I appreciate you staying up a little late for us. I know it's way past your bedtime. So
thanks, Chris.
Appreciate you, pal. Can't wait to talk to you again. Have a great weekend. Yeah, I'm fascinated by the entire political scheme that goes on behind this, especially as a transition. Trump was the guy that spearheaded this. Biden said, you know what? You got a point. And then we found bipartisan support goes through, and then all of a sudden we went, wait a minute. Oh, my goodness. You mean they're not going to divest, and we might lose this app? And I have to wonder if all of a sudden we get some voter remorse from some young people who voted for Trump if TikTok gets banned. If Trump can't save TikTok, which, remember, it was him that said it. Now, he's trying to reverse course right now because he wants to make sure everything's kosher with them. But I got to believe we end up some voter remorse from some people that say that is bunk. Not that Harris would have saved it either any more than he did. But, I mean, he's the guy that spearheaded it to start with. I don't know. People don't really think their votes matter a whole lot anyway. So, you know what? If you are a TikTok addict, especially if you are a young person listening to AM radio, God bless you. You're smarter than all of your classmates. But you're also addicted to TikTok. There's not a lot of crossover in that Venn diagram. TikTok addicts and AM radio listeners who are also in high school. But if you are in this category, the schools are helping you to break your habit.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
Ian for Mo Kelly, I'm Chris Merrill. Listen anytime on demand on the iHeart Radio app. And there are dozens of people still reported missing by the LA County Sheriff's Department for both the Palisades and the Eaton fire areas. We put together a page on our website, KFIAM640.com/missing. You have a chance to take a look at some of the people that are missing on there, get some of the descriptions, and hopefully we can find some of these people. Many are older. Many have disabilities or are bedridden, and we know that the outlook may be bleak, but we don't give up. And some have dementia. And I was thinking for some that have dementia, maybe they got out and are just confused and just don't know what in the world is going on. And maybe we can find them. Get them back to their families, their loved ones, get them back into the homes where they can feel safe again. So KFIAM640.com/missing. Anybody that's ever dealt with a family member that's had dementia knows it is terrifying, and your heart goes out all the time because oftentimes they are living in a state of concern. So whatever we can do to try to put their minds at ease and get people home safely. Growing number of states are banning cell phones in schools. California is obviously one of those, as Newsom says, bans. What's interesting is that this is a topic that has broad bipartisan support with something that is such a hot button issue. Normally, I think you'd agree with me. Normally, we have somebody will take one side and somebody will take the other side. And oftentimes, it's just whoever gets to the issue first starts arguing for it. That's it. Which party is the most patriotic? Republicans called it. Which party cares about the health of children? Democrats called it. Does that mean Democrats aren't patriotic? No, of course not. Does that mean that Republicans don't care about children being healthy? No, of course not. It's just that they picked a side. Somebody called dibs. And yet when it comes to school cell phone bans, they're all like, yeah, you know what? We're all on the side of banning cell phones. A little weird. I think it's because we know that cell phones are not just a distraction in the classroom. It's having an effect on the development of brains and school grades. Basically, kids are getting dumber. And then what do? Dumb kids that have cell phones in schools, they grow up to be dumb adults who go to wildfire areas to take selfies in front of burning houses. Yep, that's it. We are literally allowing people to underdevelop their brains by allowing the cell phones in the classrooms. Your brain is underdeveloping with the cell phone exposure, period, but then you throw that in the classroom so you're distracted from any of the good brain candy? Yeah, you're hosed. So we've got the ban in California. A number of other states do as well, including both liberal and Democratic liberal and conservative states. So obviously California, very liberal. Minnesota, like the most liberal state in the Midwest. Indiana, Ohio, pretty red-leaning states. Virginia, South Carolina, red. Louisiana, Florida, red, all with cell phone bans. And there are other pilot programs going on in both conservative and liberal states, including Washington and Oregon, but also Arkansas and Kansas. So it is remarkable to see how many states are coming together on this one. And I have to wonder, there's this piece of me that wonders, if TikTok does go dark on Sunday, which they're threatening to do, if TikTok does go dark, does that translate into kids breaking their addictions? In other words, if you're addicted to cocaine and suddenly you can't get cocaine for a couple of weeks, do you get to a point where the addiction is broken? If you are addicted to alcohol and it's become a problem and you get arrested for drunk driving and you end up in the drunk tank and you don't bond out, you get jail time, you are away from that alcohol. Let's say you get 3 months, right? Maybe it's your third offense or something. You get 3 months in the slammer, the clink, the hooskow. What am I missing, Ron? Or there's probably a number of films named after this stuff, right?
The Big House.
Thank you. Oh, that's good. Oh, how did I miss the Big House? Right? Yeah.
The Gray Bar Hotel.
Okay. Keep going.
No, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So if that happens, I mean, you're kind of forced detox. Would a TikTok ban be the equivalent of a forced detox? Because I'm here for it. I don't think that's going to be the case, though. I think it's more along the lines of if I can't have TikTok, then they end up gravitating toward more time spent on Instagram. And frankly, Instagram Reels has basically become reposts of TikTok anyway. But I think they start to gravitate towards some of the other social medias. I think that's what's happening. I will also say that this social media stuff, whether it's kids or even adults, now adults' brains are more fully developed. It is a beast that just feeds itself. I just had a meeting in my real job today with the boss that says, we need to do more social media. And I said, oh, okay. I love social media. She says, stop being an old man. You need to do social media. That's how we reach people.
Let's make something go viral.
Oh, my God. They love that. Oh, nobody loves viral more than the digital department and the CDC.
There's only one person in the room that'll be like, that doesn't happen.
You can't just, I love that when they're like, guys, can you just come up with a viral video? Yeah, we're on it.
Let's
Absolutely.
do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and on your way home, can you just pick me up a winning scratcher ticket too? That'd be great. Could you just do that? Yeah.
That's essentially the same thing, yeah.
We run into that all the time, but they said, we need to do more social. We have to have this social. We do the social. Half the stories I do are on the ills of social media, and yet the boss is like, we have to get this story on how bad social media is out on our Facebook and our Instagram and our TikToks and our YouTubes and okay, I'll get right on that. It's obviously exactly how I feel.
Our TikTok only has 50 views. So.
Oh, my gosh. Do you know how crazy digital goes when they go, oh, my gosh, you guys are up to 100 views? And they go, oh, am I? Because according to the ratings, I've got 10,000 people listening at any given minute. But no, let's program everything for the 100 views I get on TikTok.
That's a great slam. I like
crazy. Crazy. Anyway, Orange County Register had a similar story about the banning on cell phones in schools and how that's picking up steam in other states, both red and blue states. So OC Register was covering that. And I saw a story in Axios about a month ago that was similar along that. I thought I'd bring it up. A good Friday story as we got a little bit of a weekend ahead of us. And your kids, I'm telling you, if TikTok goes dark on Sunday, influencers are going to be trying to figure out how they're going to pay their bills. But kids, you are going to see a nationwide depression of sorts. It's going to be the same feeling that half the country had when Tony Soprano died in the final episode. Ooh, spoiler alert. Like the day after, that's what everybody was talking about. If this happens, the inauguration becomes the second biggest story of Monday. because so many people, especially under the age of, say, 30, are just going to be lost. They're going to be completely lost. All right, there's no business like show business. A few celebrities, some local, some out of town, are dealing with the fires. Some of them stepping up to raise money. Others using their platforms to lift the profiles of the people working together. And some are just bummed because it means they have to spend more time in the big house, the Gray Bar Hotel.
Nice.
Thank you. I really like that one. I don't think I'm familiar with it. I'm going to add that to the lexicon. That's next. Chris Merrill, KFI, AM 640, in for Mo Kelly tonight. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
You've been listening to Later with Mo Kelly. You can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.